All right, this is a great title come up with by Mary Power, Testing and Understanding of Academic Integrity. And Mary and I have worked hand in hand on putting this together. So first, the course that we're supporting is a 1A course in the biology department, Intro Cell Biology. It's required for everything remotely biological and some things that aren't. And it's required for two of the 3 streams in applied health studies. And this looks like a small list, but it's a cohort that there's at least 400 students in the class that would be in kin, for example. So we ran this in the miniature version of the course in the summer, about 75 students, and then we ran it for real. It's running, well, the course runs right now, so there's 1,368 students divided into 4 lecture sections. There's 2 lectures a week and 1 tutorial most weeks. So, and the plan was the same for the summer. I'm going to talk mostly about this because, of course, the stats are better with bigger numbers. But just a comment, in bigger course, bigger issues when you have a problem, and that's not exactly earth-shattering. So this was run within the context of the tutorials. And I inherited this course in fall 2011, and I was trying to keep the things I liked about the tutorials and change the things I didn't like, but hang it so that there was a theme. And the theme I came up with was communicating scientific information. And there are these modules online. I'll show you a bit of that. First, types of scientific information, how to find and cite peer-reviewed scientific literature. So these people are coming straight from high school. There's the not even knowing the difference between a primary scientific publication, secondary, popular press, National Geographic, all those things. It goes right to how to log in at the library, how to find library resources. This is leading up, there's threads holding these together, not just the communicating thing. So if I talk about communication, there's the scientific literature aspect. Here's one output. They have to find, well, going forward to here, they're going to have to write a brief essay. And then as part of a group, they're going to have to give an oral presentation on a topic in cell biology. They pick from a list, and they are going to need at least 1 primary source, so peer-reviewed primary scientific paper for this journal article assignment, which is a really simple fill-in-the-blank. I found this paper, this is why I picked it, this is how I cite it in APA style. And then the essay assignment will require at least 3 primary papers. So this is an oral, and these are one-on-one. So communicating, this is one-on-one with the TA. This is communicating at the level of your peers with the group, and this is digesting scientific information. So that's the theme. And here's a screenshot from Learn, and then I'll go to Learn there. So we've got A to E, the modules, and the AI quiz falls into Module C, Academic Integrity, and it's right here. And all of this is support for this and, well, the whole thing really. So it's set up so they progress from step to step to step. It wasn't a big plan to make these online modules, but in fact, they're online modules. It just kind of happened. So Gatekeeper assignments, they need to clear this AI quiz and this journal article assignment before they can hand in the essay. This has no mark value, this has no mark value, but you flush that 5% if you don't clear both of those. And Mary can explain how she linked that. Dropboxes were linked, and columns were created in the gradebook, and I can't explain it, I barely understand it, but it worked, mostly it worked. Considering this was our first run on the mega class, it worked quite well. So now to show you some of this material, this is my reminder that now I want to go to, how do I do that? Here we go. Go into the course and content. Is this maximized? Oh, I guess it was maximized. I'm going to talk to you about your tablet later. I'm interested. Okay, so here's the academic integrity module. And it starts out with fairly general material. What is academic integrity? And I'm just going to show you a couple things. First of all, there's good old Policy 71. So there's lots of links here. This is the material created by UW. And I'm apologizing in advance for if anyone designed this that I might offend. This did not do it for me. It's got a lot of like love and peace type stuff, like honesty, trust, fairness, respect, responsibility, which is nice. And then it goes on. There's testimonials. I forget whether they had integrity or didn't. And then we get into the cartoons. And you know, lovely, I guess, but this is being recorded. I needed something with cojones. You know, like this was not doing it for me. And they even have a quiz. Okay, somewhere here it says test your understanding. Oh, check your understanding. And we're back to love and peace and all that. So apologies to whoever designed this, but it really wasn't going where I needed to go. How do I go back to, I have to go all the way back through it. Or
you can just check.
Oh, I'm in another tab. Okay. Okay. So that's one thing, that the UW resource that's run out of whatever office that's run out of, I think it is called the Office of Academic Integrity, isn't really pushing them where I wanted to push them. This is fairly standard stuff. What is plagiarism? Obvious forms, etc. So that's another module. And then the next one is Plagiarism Biology 130 in U. And here's where I link them back to how to acknowledge sources, resources for learning the difference between plagiarism or not. I need to make an important acknowledgement here and here. What happens to me if I plagiarize? That will come up again in the quiz. Policy 71, the appendix to that, guidelines for penalties. This is where we get into the nasties. So the resources that they're highly recommended to go, let me find the thing by Kathy Skate. Okay, is it plagiarism yet? Is that the one? No. There's some fantastic resources out there. A lot of them were Canadian. That one isn't Canadian, but I can't find it. Oh, yeah, that's it, right here. Okay, so part of the inspiration of this, I could make this open in another tab. This is a UW resource, and I can't say enough about how impressed I was. This is by Kathy Sigeti, okay. And how do I get over there? Oh, there's a kind of a picture of her. No, it's over there. So there's a cartoon of her here, and this is a very hard-hitting thing. She's a library liaison, I believe, and I actually met with her and, fawned enthusiastically. She's got these links. She has very challenging their concept examples of this is properly used, this is properly summarized, this is plagiarized, and they are content specific for, I think she's chemistry, chem-eng, something like that. So I thought we could easily come up with, examples that fit for cell biology. So I had Kathy working with me in the early stages of this. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint now. We did the let's look. Okay, so one question, I'm into the tracking thing. Did the students access the resources, or did they just say, quit the blah, blah, what do I have to do for marks here? And kind of a mix. So this is cut to the chase. This is what do I have to do for the essay, 1,200 hits. This is, what is this journal article assignment? So that's the nitty gritty. And we're into the sort of 3, 4, 5, sometimes 700 hits for the resource material. That's not that bad, really. So I'd say uptake was pretty good. So just to reiterate, the AI quiz was the gatekeeper for the essay assignment, and the journal article assignment was the gatekeeper for the essay assignment with complicated Dropbox links. And then this is the part I might get some flack for. So the quiz, to clear the academic integrity quiz, you needed 100%. You got 3 chances to take the quiz to accomplish this. So this is what they got when they started the quiz. So here's a reminder that they need a satisfactory, or they can't submit this. A pass on this quiz is 100%. You get 3 chances, use them wisely. And another reminder that this is where they go for the resources. And then the second and third time they take the quiz, it counts down. So you are allowed 3 attempts. This is your second. Do not assume the questions are the same. So one thing I learned from this is the bigger and the bolder you make something, it renders it invisible. Because I still got students saying, I didn't realize I got a 65. That's a pass. And then the third time it gets really emphatic. This is your final attempt. If you are not accepted, or if you're not successful in this attempt, I try not to say triple fail to the students, but that was an efficient way of responding or describing it. You either take the 5% hit, and a lot of them don't even bother doing this because they're happy to flush marks apparently, or you submit a written make-up assignment. And this is where the workload comes for me. If you choose the written assignment, contact me for details, at which point I had to come up with something. So, yeah. So let's go through the quiz now. So I don't know if any of you got my email and had an attempt at this. So quizzes. Oh, wait. I don't have to go to the sandbox. I can just do it from here. Yeah. So I want to preview. Whoa. I hit the wrong one. I want preview. Let's take that again. Okay, start quiz so you can see my blatant blue. I make it blue because there's a lot of writing there. Most of it, I kind of wish that it was less cluttered there, but so they could, see just what we wanted them to see. Okay, so, hello. Okay, the beginning, I've cherry-picked through various sources. So most of them did pretty well on this. There's a chance to go back to policy 71 here. So which of the following are plagiarism? And I've got notes here that some of these stayed absolutely identical for all 3 attempts, and this was one of them. And let's go to the next one. So this is the double dipping concept, and I think I may have gotten this one from the UW Cider. It was inspired by, I can't remember where they come from. So can you double dip, or is it always plagiarism? And it gets them thinking about it, talking about it, and so on. Sorry, you won't have time to read these, but and then this guy's looking at my paper. What do I do? And silly things like, do nothing, it's not your job. Well, I guess that's not that silly. Call a proctor, shift your body position. This is one where I picked, ideally both, but some students wouldn't be confident to do this. And this is one of the questions where I actually had feedback. But that's something else I learned. The students don't automatically see the feedback. They have to click on something. And it would be nice if the feedback, sometimes you can only make it so obvious, but that's one that I had some discussion on. Here's one here. You are guilty of plagiarism. That one was, again, straightforward. This one is geared to lab reports, which didn't directly impact on my course, but about 900 of these students are also taking the lab, and they're in Chem 120. So what happens if you're using data from someone else? So this was done in conjunction with the lab coordinator. So how do you handle that? When is it plagiarism? When isn't it? And this one here ended up being the most problematic question. So using information or content from the work of another, underline, italics, without acknowledging the source, is considered plagiarism in all of the following except. And I tell you, when you underline it and you put it in italics, it becomes invisible. You wouldn't believe how many people struggled with this and got it wrong 3 times, and would talk, first-year students talking to fourth-year RAs and residents, and they say the fourth-year students didn't have the answer to it. So basically it's, if that information is common knowledge, and although I kind of dissed the UW academic integrity tutorial, that's where this came from, almost word for word. Yeah?
But isn't it also the way the question is phrased?
Oh, please, if it is, help me.
You have, in essence, you have a double negation in there.
I would love to clean up the wording, and maybe the academic integrity site can change theirs as well, although theirs doesn't count for marks. Yeah. Yeah, it's got it. Well, generally, when they came to my office to talk to me, I would emphasize this part and finish each sentence. And they'd be like, oh yeah, that's obvious. So something has to change with that, because I didn't make it up. You know, it was a question that I thought was road tested. Okay, this is reference padding. This is another one where there was feedback, because the view in arts is, I think, different from the view in science, in that in science you only cite an article if you used something from it, whereas in other disciplines they could be, you know, these are valuable resources, or, you know, I read this and it shaped my thoughts even though I didn't use anything. So that was to start the dialogue with students, and there was feedback. Whether they actually accessed it or not is a different question. And then this was the hardest part, and this is where the Kathy Szigeti collaboration came in, where I gave them a passage in blue, or sorry, we got some red and blue here, okay. And I even warned them, this is the scary part of the quiz, which addresses the most common type of academic misconduct, and this is directly relevant to their essay assignment. So the blue is the source, and the red is the student writing, and they have to judge. It's a 50-50 chance, but that's scary when you have to eventually get 100%. So they have to decide, is it plagiarism or not? So to knee-jerk say everything's plagiarized is not going to get them through this. This was so hard to make up. This, I gave Kathy passages, and then she gave me back plagiarized and not plagiarized by her definition. And then I looked at them and I'm like, ooh, wow. And I'm thinking, I think I plagiarized then. And then I bounced them to Mary and the course coordinator, and she's like, well, I don't really agree with, and I thought, whoa. So I had to actually step way back from Kathy's incredibly high standard, because we want to scare them, but we don't want to, you know, totally shatter them. And if we can't agree, then yeah. So these 2 questions changed in all 3 versions of the quiz. So they were new passages, and the order plagiarized versus not changed. But by the 3rd attempt, I gave them the same passage and 2 different excerpts. So I tried to make it easier while they were getting to the sort of freak out stage. Okay, so there's the second passage. Number 10 is trying to bring in the English as a second language people. So you are worried about your understanding. Is it okay to seek help at the writing center? That sort of thing. So I was hoping that this could, you know, catch some of our people that might be in trouble, because if they can't get through this, there's a high probability of them plagiarizing on the essay assignment, and it creates so much grief in paperwork. I would rather talk to them now. Okay, and then the last part of it is giving them yet another chance to open these on another tab, saying, highly recommended. See, I'm even saying, open the following resources on separate tabs. Cheat, you know, open book, look for the answers. And so I basically picked through and took things directly out of here. So can it prevent me from graduating? Because I basically read and it said, yeah, you will not be allowed to graduate. Here's another one. Can I be charged if I withdraw from the course? Which I thought was a really good point. This taught me a lot about our policies, and I thought, wow, we've got some, you know, kick-butt policies here. I wonder if we actually enforce them. But yeah, okay, it's, well, there is, it's hard, right? This is Can you have a quiet deal with the prof without forming the associate dean? That's right out of the policy. You know, whether that's always enforced or not, I don't know. This is typical penalties, plagiarism on a first offense. And some of them went hardcore. They're like, well, I'm going to make sure I nail this. I'm going to say expulsion. Well, no, you know, we don't expel them. Don't wing it. I kept telling them, you don't have to make this up, because I didn't know the answers to these until I looked at those policies. And then this was typical penalties for obtaining, distributing, receiving confidential academic material such as exams. This is based on an incident last winter, so it's kind of nice to have bits of reality in there. And then the last one is choosing all that apply. I understand, I will abide, and if I don't know, I will ask. Some of the people didn't check those boxes, but anyway. Okay, so let's go back to PowerPoint. So what did I do if they didn't pass? I made something up really fast. So in the summer course where there were tiny numbers of people, this was easy. I gave them a passage, and I would say appropriately summarize, plagiarize. So I wanted it to be onerous enough. So they're onerous, they have to write. I picked a fairly dense, hardcore biology passage where they had to actually figure out the meanings of words before they could really translate the information, which is exactly what they have to do for real on the assignment. And then on the bigger class, I would look at what they got wrong, and I would customize. Basically, if they messed up on what types of academic misconduct, if they messed up on, can it stop me from graduating, I gave them an opportunity. These are the triple fails. So they've had 3 chances to look this up. This is a 4th chance. And by customize, what I ended up doing was, okay, they got 1, 12, and 15 wrong. I had remedial brackets, 1, 12, 15, that sort of thing. So it's quicker than it looks. Okay, so what was the outcome? Question stats. Attempt 1, there were 1,297, so we get pretty good data out of this. Most problematic, number 6. That was that weird wording, when is it okay to use someone else's information without acknowledging your sources? Number 7, I can't remember. 15 was that very last policy question. What happens to me if I distribute academic material? Mildly problematic, 2 and 12. So still a lot of people nailed them, but I was just looking at, I'm not going to go into the Learn, but you can put out really nice reports where you get this, these bar graphs going across. Attempt number 2, there were 895. So if you nail it the first time, you don't go on again. So you want these numbers to be going down. Most problematic that time, like notice up here, the passages were not an issue. That surprised me. I really thought picking out the plagiarized versus not would be an issue. That's the first passage, so that was a bit of a problem. And there's number 6 again. There's number 15 again. So twice they've had the chance to look up that policy, and they've been given the links 3 times before they even take the quiz. Attempt 3, 537. You'd hope it'd be going pretty well. So all questions answered correctly by 95% or more. Only 1 question everybody got right. Only 1, even though they've had 3 attempts. And most problematic is still that number 6. So something has to be fixed. I agree that the wording or something is off on that. Okay, AI quiz by the numbers. This is the pilot term. Oh, I'm late. 74 students in the course at the time. 66 cleared it eventually. 4 failed it, triple failed, but cleared it with the remedial, and 4 never bothered. This was a good pilot for the mechanics of the quiz, but this is so atypical. I mean, it's a 1A course. Only 2 of those students were in first year. These guys are an interesting mix of people that have been kicked out of computer science, software engineering. They had 1 accounting person. Like, they're trying to find their way, shall we say. They're transitioning into biology, and I'm guessing maybe out of biology. So a very, very, very mixed bag. Let's look at the bigger class, the more typical class. So This is how many are in the course now. So there's a withdrawal rate. This is how many passed the AI quiz eventually. These are the triple fails. So 81 people came to me for that remedial assignment. I'd like that number lower. 9 dabbled once or twice, but never really cleared it. So it's a mix of triple fails that didn't follow up. 1 tried it twice, 3 tried it just once, 11 didn't bother. But really, that's a pretty low percentage, right? Tiny, tiny. So most students are taking a crack at least. How many attempts did it take them to clear the quiz? So this is total number of passes, 92%. And these are subdivisions of this, so we're just splitting it up. And this never changed. So the quiz was open for 6 weeks or so. And I kept hoping that as word got around that this was a real, kick-butt quiz, that people would start being more careful. But the numbers, it stayed roughly a third, a third, a third. And then let's call these our well, I have to be polite, our lower end students. So here are the triple fails, 6.5%, which looks low, but it's still 81 people. And these are the ones that didn't bother, extremely low. And then the characteristics of the lower end. These are final exam marks I got last night by email, so they are totally raw. I haven't looked at question analysis, but it was something. So this is the distribution of the entire class. This is the distribution of the triple fail grouping, and I've just drawn a bar for the average, and these are the people that didn't bother. It would not be fair to say that all the triple fails were bad students. There were a few good students in there. So it's a mix, but a point here, 50-something students dropped the course and, of course, didn't write the final. So they aren't represented here, and I can't really think of a way of representing them. So what have we learned? Many students can't follow instructions. For example, didn't realize the requirement to get 100% until they tried to hand in their essay and the Dropbox was locked. So like, what else can we do? I don't know. Didn't notice the feedback incorporated into the quiz, and I don't know if I can toggle something in Learn to make that more obvious. Don't read questions carefully, as like, do not assume the questions are identical. Don't access this is, many students make poor decisions on time management. I would look at the timestamp and they would have taken the quiz 3 times in 6 minutes and triple failed. Said, like, why would you do that? Well, I didn't have much time. And I said, so it's more efficient time-wise to have to come in and see me and do this and then go away and come, like, seriously. So that was a bad decision. But most students successfully cleared it. I had to keep that in my head as I was dealing with the 81, like 92 students did it, yay. So you have to try and stay positive even though the bottom end is where most of our time goes. Possible changes for next year, fix number 6, incorporate more feedback. Can it be more obvious? I doubt it, but I'm wondering if switching the order of the answers in some of them, randomizing them, was making it too hard. Maybe the bar is too high, but 100% for the first, or 92% nailing it for the first go is pretty good. And then modifying questions. So clicker fraud is it's right in policy 71, and it's a clicker course. Quiz fraud came up in an email last week. A student emailed the entire Dear everyone, so librarians, CTE people, and so on, saying, does anyone have all the quizzes and answers, and I'll trade you Calc 127 grades for it. And I had a knee-jerk reaction saying, because it was, hey, everyone, and I replied, hey, everyone, this student is about to commit an academic offense and drag some classmates with him. Please don't do this. It creates all this paperwork for me and ruins my Christmas. So, and that generated a buzz on the kin class Facebook page, apparently. And then we had a nice incident that could be incorporated where a student in the second midterm had material written on his left hand in red ink. So that's our red-handed incident. I'm really sad to say he nailed the quiz on the first attempt. So that made me really sad. Anyway, unplanned outcomes. One-on-one interactions in a class of 1,300, particularly with the bottom end, is not a bad thing. And I got really cool feedback from this people that were like a little below mediocre students who were completely excited about their BioBites topics and research and the fact that we didn't have the answers yet and all that. So who knows if that changed their outcome in the course. And then when they were arguing about number 6 in residence, I'm thinking, they're talking about number 6 in residence with upper year students. Like, that's cool. And then it was an opportunity to flag language issues. I have a list of China 2+2s that I get all these special notifications from the deanery saying, look out for them, they have special needs, blah, blah, blah. None of those had a problem, but I had a lot of other English as a second language people that I said, you know, I am worried about you, please seek out support. So that's all I've got, and sorry if I ran over.
So I'm mindful of the time. If it's just past 11, if you need to go, please, you know, take off. If you want to stick around and ask questions, we can stick around for a little bit for questions. So we've got one here.
Towards the beginning, you said that when you put something in big bold letters, they don't read it.
I've noticed that on exams too. Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, the question is why. It may be just that this is a process of education for them. They need to learn how. But you said that they were senior students, not first-year students.
Wait a minute. In which? Oh no, not in the fall class. No.
Okay.
Yeah. No, they're like 99% 1A students in the fall class.
So what is going on when they are bypassing bold information, looking for trivial? There's some kind of something has happened to them in the school system or somewhere along that they're not doing this. And if we could find that out, then we'd be a step ahead.
And then when you write a multiple choice exam, because this class size, we really have no option. You write, you know, which are false, and you make it bigger and bolder and uppercase, and you know, sometimes they get it. But again, 92% of the students nailed it. So I have to keep telling myself I can't beat myself up about the bottom 8%. Okay?
I teach a course of about 100 to 120 students in the fall, and I have often a problem with plagiarism in there because, I mean, they have to write a lot, and then you will get these things, and probably will get a slap on my wrist for that, but it happens so often. I mean, I don't bother for the very most cases to ever go to the dean, because then I would just be constantly going to the dean. And most of the students that I penalize them by deducting points from them. Most of the students then say, but I didn't do it on purpose. And that then is enough apparently in their mind not to be penalized.
Well, that was an option. I didn't realize. You go to the prof, you weep, and you say, I didn't realize. I want them to realize.
The other one was, but I have never been penalized for something like this before.
Yep.
So to some extent, I think that we all should look at ourselves in the mirror and make sure that we press these issues more on the students from the very beginning.
Yeah.
But that does not seem to happen often enough that we emphasize.
Yeah, well, trying to make up questions 8 and 9 was a real soul searching for all of us. And those could be completely course specific. There's already 2 other profs I know in our department that have adapted this for upper year courses where the class size is smaller and they are starting to write. And our big thing, as soon as you ask them to write term papers, is copy-paste out of journal articles. So I think they need to get it early and they need to get scared enough. The guy that wanted the quiz output, he was freaking. It turns out I opened the quizzes for all the students that had done them to review their own, and he was a good student. He had done them all. he didn't read the notice, he didn't try clicking, but he sent like 6 emails saying, please ignore my request, don't send me anything. He was completely freaked out, and I think being freaked out is a good thing in 1A.
We have another, yeah, there and here as well.
I wondered, does the dean have any indication about who's taken your course and done this? Because one of the common things that they get if you do take stuff to the dean is, oh, I didn't know, I didn't realise, blah, blah, blah. But of course that fails now if they have taken this academic integrity course. The packet I sent with Mr. Red-Handed included a copy of the quiz and the fact that he scored 100% on the first time. Yeah. It made me really sad. But which is easy for you because it was in your course that the event had happened. Yeah. But if it's second year course, but if we centralized this somehow and made it a milestone, I don't know. I mean, I can only kind of take care of my own, but yeah. Where was the other one?
Well, that was my point. It seems to me like this should not be course specific at all. This should be a part of orientation, and no student can. That's a very strong recommendation. Yeah, I would love that, and then we could do biology in biology. But this is how we catch our 1300. Because frankly, maybe there's some validity to some of the odd student. Maybe they're actually telling the truth when they say they didn't know. Yeah. Right. So maybe we're not educating. But not our guys. Yeah. Yeah. Not now.
So how can we get that? Can we get all that? Can you give it to us?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Well, you have access to the sandbox, right? And all 3 versions of the quiz are there. Yeah.
And we'd like to get it posted up with Heidi's permission in the instructor resource repository.
Sure.
And where we have some other academic integrity resources, we're working to get a bunch of those together so we can sort of get things available for everybody.
And if you could help me fix number 6 before we do that, yeah, because it can't, yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Thanks to Kevin and Heidi for a great presentation.